Hello, everyone, and welcome to One Tech World. I'm so happy and so excited to seeing all of you here. And as you can see from the deck that I'm sharing, today we will be talking about product management principles, but applied for career, self-development, and growth. But before we start, well, I'm pretty sure that people who are joining this session or actually who are joining the One Tech World, they are familiar with product management principles. They know what product management is in principle. They know what actually great products are being built out there, right? Well, I was always involved in product management. I was always part of the great teams who were building great stuff, and that really excites me all the time. However, one day I just realized, let's say, that maybe I can apply some of those principles that people who I know are really building cool products, cool stuff into my real life. How I actually can make sure that my life's in order or I'm doing right things. And before I started implementing product management principles into my life was really a bit chaotic. I was doing stuff because I felt that those things are right to do. But that's not the case, right? So we know there are plenty of cool products that are really being built out. And well, some people might say that, well, that product, they just had overnight success, but we don't believe in overnight success stories, right? There is no such thing as that, in one night we built something and it became super popular. I don't know. Maybe there are such cases. Please feel free to put in the chat if you think so. But I don't believe in such things, right? And cool products, they are really taking time. If you really want to build something cool, it will take time, it will take energy, it will take all of your resources in the end of the day. And same comes to life, to your life, right? Because you are a product of yourself. In the end of the day, you are building yourself. And why we don't approach our lives as a product? So I had this enlightened moment. No, I'm kidding. Of course, I think everyone have thought about that. It's not just me who came up with this brilliant idea of saying that, yeah, product management can be applied in real life. But in the end of the day, of course, I believe that we can think about that. But when it comes to execution, to implementation, it's really difficult to maintain that approach and to tackle your daily problems in that way, right? Because, you know, it's real difficult to have order. It's real difficult to follow the structure. And that's what I like about product management. In product management, you are not forced to follow one structure, right? When you're building something, you are being asked to do lots of hypothesis testing. You're being asked to check, try to see whether it works. If not, we move and try something else. And the same goes for life. And now I will share with you all those things, of course, in a minute. But before, just I want to, give you a heads up, tell you what we're going to talk about. But let me actually, go to the next page and share with you the content of today's topic. So first of all, I want really to dive into project management, right? I know that many of you know what it is, but still, it's just, give a quick intro on product management, what it is, and how great real world examples of product management success out there, right? So I'm pretty sure you're all, of course, familiar with those products, but again, just reminding ourselves, brushing up on our knowledge, it never hurts. So there we will talk about different approaches in product management, right? Like how those products are being built out, like different approaches are being used, and we will talk about each of them later in this presentation. And in the end of the day, I will share my contact details. Feel free to reach out to me. Let's be in touch. I really want to get feedback from you on this presentation, first of all. And on the other hand, I really want to be in touch with people and see, like, maybe some of you actually already implemented some of these things. Maybe, of course, I can say that, well, for example, the fifth bullet point, right? It says iterative improvement. So here we will talk about a minimum viable product. And for example, I know that many people might have used this in their lives, but of course you didn't call it minimum viable product. So feel free, put in the chat or just send me an email or just message me on Instagram. Say how you implement the different principles into your real life. I'm so excited to hear such stories. Really, just let me know, ping me. I'm always happy to get in touch with people and hear how people are being, creative with all those things and implementing those things into their real lives. So yeah, without further ado, let's go into first topic of this presentation. What is product management? Grab your tea, your coffee, water, be ready. We will share lots of things today with each other, and I just want to, of course, see how people can actually use all these principles in their daily lives. But again, just for your information, we are not asked to follow all the steps here because it might be too much for the first time. But I really encourage you to take some notes to make sure that you know which of these steps are the most interesting ones for you or the ones that you want to try first. So yeah, that would be great. That's what I would appreciate. But thanks so much for actually coming to the session and listening to all these topics. But yeah, before also we start, I give a quick intro about myself. So my name is Gultan. I live in Estonia and I've been involved in product management for a long time. I've been involved also in the business analysis part in my career. I was involved in project management. So I was really excited to see how people are building cool products. And I think I'm so lucky that I had an experience with working with the coolest, with the brightest minds I've ever met. So, and I think actually whatever I'm sharing here, I really took all these things from those people, from my team members. I took this from all my friends actually who are also are involved in product management area. They know, how to bring tech business together and build something cool out of nothing. That's the most important thing. And same applies for life, right? Our lives, they can be messy and they are messy, and that's fine. And we are trying to build, something out of nothing sometimes. And that's totally okay. So let's go and see how those things can be applied in real life. Cool. So first, yeah, we will start about talking what is product management. Well, I don't want to spend so much time on this again. I'm more than sure that you are aware of this. Even if you're not aware, you can of course understand from the like saying product management, managing the product, right? So this is the process of building and refining products that deliver value. That's the most important thing. So we need to make sure that whatever we are building, it will actually deliver some value in the end. How we do that? Of course, we first of all need to do research, understand that this is a viable idea. We are building something that makes sense in the end of the day, that actually somebody really needs it. There is the problem statement, and we know that okay, our product will actually go and work on this problem, and bring some product into life that will actually solve those problems. But when it comes to our lives, well, the product is our life. As simple as it is, right? So we need to first of all look at the strategy, right? Like what we want to build, what kind of life in the end of the day we really want. And when I say life, like life is a complicated thing. I don't mean that, whole life. I mean that you can just take, let's say, some part of your life, for example, your career or building a family or having more friends, like becoming more social. But that can also be your plan. That can be also your strategy. Like people have different strategies in life, right? So you go with one part of your life because life is complicated, of course, and same goes for product management. Of course, like let's say products like Google, they were not built overnight, and it didn't start like as a Google as it is, as we know right now, right? So that's why you should choose just one part of your life and see how, like, what kind of strategies you can apply into your life and the area that you actually chose. So yeah, strategy is basically putting down the plan for actually building that part of your life. And then you are actually checking with your peers, with different people, like, getting the feedback on the stuff that you are doing because we are not alone in our lives. And we, of course, depend on many people. We depend on many things that are happening around us. So that's why it's always useful getting feedback from our peers. And here I say from users and stakeholders, because in product management, we call them users and stakeholders, right? So for example, if you're building a product for someone, you need to make sure that you're building something useful. That's why you're always getting the feedback from your stakeholders and use this in order to make sure that the things that you're building are actually tackling some problems that they want to solve. And in the end, execution. I always say this, you can put the plan, you can have the feedback, you can have everything like perfect, noted down. But if you are not executing, if you are not, working on stuff, if you're not like, all the time producing something, it's not going to work because nobody's going to do that for you. You are the one who is building your own life, of course. And that's why you need to make sure that execution is everything. Just do it. As simple as this. Yes. Thank you, Nike, for such a great slogan. So let's move now to the next page and let's talk about real world examples of product management success. Uh, I just shared very, very successful brands, companies here that everyone knows about. It's of course Facebook, Apple, Google, so you can see Amazon there. So um, just for your information, that of course, as many of us know, Facebook actually didn't start as a Facebook as the social media network, like as we know right now in today's world. So Facebook started as a simple networking site, but for students, right? For Harvard University students. But now it's not even Facebook, it's now Meta. It's huge, huge company with lots of things that they are developing. Then Apple as well. They pivoted from computers to redefining the smartphone market. So it's always like it also didn't start as a smartphone company, right? It didn't start with iPhones. On the other hand, Google. So they also like built the structure and the culture of experimentation. So for example, Gmail actually didn't like it was not meant to be a at that tool as Gmail as we know right now. So it was kind of internal tool, but now everyone uses Gmail, right? So then YouTube, Android, all these things. So they started with a very simple idea and they actually built something big out of it. So that's just a quick example of how products are, becoming successful. They start with very small ideas, something that idea might be even irrelevant, and we will talk later about that. But then it evolves over time, right? So because you adjust your plan, you adjust your strategy, you need to also consider the market, the trends, everything, and you adjust your product, and then you become successful. And the same applies for life. You can have an idea in your head like what you want to do in 5 years, but you always need to adjust things because time and like life is always changing, and you cannot, of course, stick to one plan until end of your life. And yeah, let's go to the principles and how stuff can be applied because yeah, I know that people, of course, know what other great products are out there, and all these big companies, they are of course using very sophisticated, very interesting ways of doing stuff by using product management principles that are really huge. Like there's a big ton of things that they are doing, and I'm just going to share a very small portion of that. But I encourage you to do more research, to read more about this, and in the end of the presentation, you will see more links to some books, articles that you can read, and of course, do research yourself and see what are other product management principles out there that you can improve, that you can implement, and actually maybe improve some of them and implement into your life. So yeah, this start with the first one. That's my favorite one. I will be honest. There are a few favorite ones that I have and I will share during my presentation. But the first one is iterative improvement. We do small steps, we take small steps, and we are sure that those small steps will do big impact. So there is a thing in product management called minimum viable product, right? So the example I just gave to you, the Facebook example, right? So it started with social media, but for Harvard University. So we can consider it as a minimum viable product, right? So, like thanks to the university students, it was tested out, and the result was that yes, people are using it, people are really interested in such things, and it then evolved into something bigger. Another example actually can be Amazon, right? So Amazon is a huge company. We all know Amazon, but it started as an online bookstore, right? So Jeff Bezos, he didn't decide one day that he's going to build huge Amazon as we know right now. He started with an idea of just online bookstore. He wanted to solve some problems regarding uh, online bookstores. He was also interested in that, let's say, business segment, and that's what he started doing, and that's what he like we can call minimum viable product, but I don't know whether actually this term came like I mean it was used before because minimum viable product becoming more popular these days. Like we are using more this term But yeah, so basically, the most important thing here is that when you really want to build something, when you really want to do something with your life, let's say in one area of your life, you should start with very, very small steps. Because I don't know, let's just bring an example, right? Let's say your goal is to become a leader, right? You are working in one area. Just an example, right? You are a product manager, and one day you want to become a head of product management, which is great goal, super cool career advancement. And then having such goal, saying that I want to be head of product, it's very vague. uh, Many people would like to be head of product, but we need to take some steps, right? And of course, it's really difficult just in one day to become head of product. I mean, I don't know. Of course, there might be some, terms, or sometimes, people might get lucky. I don't know, but we never trust luck, right? We need to really work our way, and we need to make sure that we are actually doing something every day in order to deserve such big achievements. So yeah, exactly. Same here, right? So you want to become head of product. So what would you do? You should start with small steps. You should make sure that, okay, first of all, I need to break down my goal into small, manageable things. So you need to experiment. And also another thing is that while you're experimenting, while you're building this minimum viable product, you are realizing sometimes, do you really actually need it or not? Of course, you might want to become a head of product, but in the end of the day, while doing these things, while doing these small steps in order to become head of product, you might realize that that's not your thing. You're actually not interested in that. The path that takes you to becoming head of product is not that actually the one that actually excites you, which is fine. That's also the part of minimum viable product, that you are doing stuff, you're doing things, you're experimenting, and you're realizing that this doesn't excite you, and it's not actually fun. You don't like it, which is totally fine. Then you move to new goal. So that's why always, as it's shown here, it says like build, measure, and learn. Like same in the life. First of all, you want to become, let's say, head of product. Okay, what you should do? You should start, let's say you're starting from the scratch, right? You need to become an intern. Okay, what we do? We find companies that are taking interns in product management area. You're going there, you're trying different things. And then you're, measuring, are you really actually interested in product management? Or because you're like, you saw so many marketing ads, so many like, people saying, hey, come into product management. That's really things you should do. Then you will see like exactly, do you really want it because you want it, or because like you just saw some ads, or like some people told you, there's this product management thingy that you should try. So again, you're trying, you're seeing the result. If yes, then you put the next goal. You're just making sure that, okay, now I interned, now I need to become a junior product manager, or I need to, for example, sometimes it's really difficult to get junior product manager role. Then what you do, then you can have your side hustle. You can just build some products yourself and kind of show it to um like companies or some people who are hiring product managers, and say that this is what I was interested in, that's why I did this, and this is my portfolio, and kind of get into your goal of becoming head of product in the end. And that goal can be like in 5 years and 6 years, but you are going there by small steps. So yeah, now also user feedback, right? So the power of external insights. We might think that we know everything. We might think that, everything is online, I can go and check, but it's always to go and ask for feedback. And I like this feedback loop. It's very simple: observe, reflect, adjust. So, like let's start with the, as it's written on the slide, Netflix data-driven decisions, right? So Netflix, as we know, it doesn't put all those TV series, movies, all the things that you saw there just randomly, obviously, right? It doesn't do that. So it uses like lots of machine learning, analyzing lots of big data from users, and then putting things for you that can be interested only for you. So that's why it's like kind of personalizing the content, but it again comes from the feedback from the users, right? So it just checks what users really like, particular user, let's say, enjoy uh, watching, and that's the personalized content comes to that user specifically. So it's also like, observing, then adjusting, and making sure that, right things are being reflected for that specific user. That's in Netflix case, but in your life, same goes for you. So if you want to build, again, I will go with one example that's easier for you to follow, also for me to explain. Maybe head of product management role, let's say. So you can find people who are already in that role. You can ask them, I'm doing these things. Do they make sense? Or what you did? Like, getting that mentor, getting that person who can help you in your path. And you can, seek that feedback from all the people that you really know, that you really admire, and that you think that you want to be like them one day. And that's totally fine. And people are really open to that. I'm always, so sometimes I'm meeting some people, and I know that there are people are different. Some people might be shy to ask for the feedback. Some people might be resistant, saying that, well, I don't want to be, the person who goes and asks for all that feedback from other people. People might get annoyed. No, people don't get annoyed. And if people get annoyed, don't ask those people who get annoyed. Ask the ones who are open to give feedback, and there are plenty of us. So feel free, go ask, and never think, never think in a way that, uh, you know, people might think that I'm too much. No, they are never too much. It's fine. You're asking questions, and there are plenty of people who are ready to help you. So yeah, I will not stick to this slide because user feedback, it's very self-explanatory. But you ask your peers and mentors on how you are actually doing so you can adjust your plan, because sometimes feedback, not sometimes, all the time actually feedback is useful. And on the other hand, sometimes you might get let's say harsh feedback, but we don't believe in such things, right? There's no harsh feedback, there's no bad, good feedback. We just get the feedback, and it's like up to us whether we should follow that feedback or not. So just get those things and see how you can apply that into your life. Prioritization. Well. So we might have lots of big plans in our heads. Even when we divide our big goals into small chunks, we still have lots of things in our plate, right? So we have, all those small steps, like again, you want to be, let's say, intern, then to be junior product manager, then go and become like a senior and then head of product management. But like you need to prioritize things, right? That lead the things that lead you to that goal. So for example, the company Google actually have great decision-making process. I didn't include them into this slide. I mean, there are lots of things that they are using in order to decide on something, because you cannot decide on something just based on your gut feeling. You can, again, in our lives, intuition plays a huge role. We cannot always measure, do this analytical job and continue with our lives, no. But again, you need to prioritize most of your life. You need to make sure that the stuff that you're doing, they actually are prioritized. You're not spending much time on the things that don't matter in the long term, right? So there is this cool matrix. I think everyone is aware of this one, because I've been saying this even in my high school. I remember lots of my teachers were using this uh, for different purposes. In product management, actually, is being used for distinguishing between urgent and important tasks. Remember, like, there's a really huge difference between important and urgent tasks. Things can be urgent but not important, right? So, but things can be important but not urgent. And sometimes, like, like, sometimes it's difficult to distinguish between them. You would think that it can be important and urgent at the same time, which is true. It also shows in this matrix. As you can see here, for example, we can say that, well, this thing is really important and urgent at the same time. So what we do it now. We do not compromise. We don't say that, you know what, I will go and do like something else. I will just go and focus on stuff that are like, not urgent but important. No, you should schedule in time to do it. Or like there are stuff that are not important at all but urgent to do, then you delegate. And I think, for example, like stuff like, I don't know, let's say if you're running a business, for example, especially, yes, when you're running a business, it's important to know, like, you're doing your accounting, you're doing, let's say, your marketing and all these things. So if you're not an expert in that field, you need to, of course, delegate it. Or like, let's say there are things that are not actually that important and not urgent at all. So you just eliminate those things. Do not spend your time, do not spend your brain capacity on the things that don't matter at all. And yeah, I love delegating things. I was so bad at this before, but now I'm trying to learn. It's also a skill, right? So you also, when you do like when you prioritize, you see actually what are your weaknesses. And when I started doing that, I saw that, I'm really bad at delegating. But then I started mapping down and seeing that there are so many things that are not important but urgent to do. And I'm not good at doing it, let's say. I'm not an expert, for example, at accounting at all. So what do? I delegate it. Um, yeah, that's it in a nutshell. And it really helps you to balance long-term growth with daily tasks, as it says here. The next step, road mapping and vision setting. Again, right? So this is actually comes back to my first point where I was saying that when you put the minimum viable product down, you need to have a roadmap for that. But here I want to talk about not just about minimum viable product, but the whole uh, section of your life. Let's say you need to define a 5-year vision. Uh, like you take one segment of your life and define a 5-year vision. I know in today's world that might sound crazy, like 5-year vision? Oh my God, that's too much. Like we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. It's true, which is right. Life is like evolving, things are changing. And sometimes I might be like, oh my God, 5 years, it's like too much. And I agree. But of course, there are some aspects of life that, it will take much time, right? So we know that career, like, you know, everything related to career, big, big goals, they will not take one day or 1 year. So you really need to make sure that what you like, how you see yourself in 5 years. I mean, I'm pretty sure people who've been going to interviews and HR, especially like recruiters, also always asking, what is your 5-year vision? And I've heard that, some people don't like these questions, saying, I don't know where I'll be in 5 years. But if you think about that, ideally you would know, right, where you want to be in 5 years. Of course, you might not have an ideal role in your head. You cannot say that in 5 years, I don't know, I want to work for XYZ company, do this, because it might change. In 5 years, that company might not exist anymore, or stuff like that, right? But you need to have a vision. And that's what it says here, just a vision. So, okay, in 5 years, I want to work for a big company, right? Maybe we want to really go and work for corporate, or I want to work for a startup. That's also fine. That's a vision, right? So you just put down the things that you want to do in 5 years. And in the end of the presentation, I will share actually one resource on the blog of Cal Newport. I love Cal Newport. He's a great, great guy, I think, and he shares lots of cool things about that. And once I remember he shared a blog post on 5-year vision saying that for 5-year vision, don't put like very specific goal. Don't say that in 5 years I'm going to be as I said, I will work for XYZ company and do this. No, just put the ideal picture of yourself. Like in 5 years, for example, I live in a big city. I work in a corporate. I just went up in corporate ladder and I became, I don't know, head of something, right? So that's the vision that you have in 5 years. But then you need to identify key milestones, what actually leads you to that vision. And then you go and break it into short term, achievable actions that you do every day. So, again, in 5 years, you can have very huge, very amazing goal. But what you do every day to go into that goal, that's also defines your future, right? And that's why road mapping and vision setting is really important because when we have a vision, it's really difficult. It's really impossible to turn other way, right? So if you are sure that in 5 years you will be working again, let's say for corporate. You will be living in big city, in big apartment. You're going to do all these cool things that you've been dreaming of. Nothing can stop you. Every day, whatever you're going to do will lead you to that goal because in the end of the day, you have that picture in your head. You know that in 5 years, I will be there. In 5 years, I will be doing this. But in order to achieve that, today, I need to get this discipline. And again, I don't believe in motivation. I think we shouldn't believe in motivation. There is no such thing as motivation. We can be motivated once, but everything should be disciplined. In order to build the life that you want, you need to be disciplined. You need to execute every day. You need to have these small actions, short-term goals that are bringing you to that 5-year vision that you're having in the end of the day. But here, of course, I just explained, the small steps, those chunks that you can, work on every day that will bring you, again, let's say into role of head of product. So for example, you should know that you need to learn some PM skills like user research, road mapping, analytics, but this like you're doing every day. Then you know that okay, after doing that, I need to go and land the product owner role or associate product manager, but start with junior role because I learned those things, but now I need to apply those things. Then you need to take ownership of end-to-end product because you can work as a product manager, but in the end of the day, you need to make sure what kind of product you're building or what, let's say, area you're working in, right? So, for example, let's say you want to be fintech product manager, then you need to also define that because in 5 years, like, of course, that's the career progress, right? You can be a great product manager, but you also need to choose your area, whether it's fintech for some of you, or it might be something related to media, something related to healthcare, anything, right? What you're interested in. So also think about that. So again, it comes back to beginning. It goes back to beginning, saying that when you are defining your vision, when you're putting down that minimum viable product, you also need to consider those small things, right? Saying that I just want to be head of product, it's very vague. It's your vision. That's it. But when it comes to execution, those small steps define actually your future. KPIs and metrics. Oh, well, I think everything should be, you know, measured. Because like if you don't measure things, we never know how we're actually progressing, right? Well, again, in life it can be complicated. Of course, you cannot measure like your each step in life, and that would be crazy. I don't think that's the way how we should approach things. But you need to put the goals that are, as you can see from the page, are attainable, measurable, they are specific, they are time bound, and they are relevant, right? So we don't put things that that you cannot actually measure in the end of the day. So for example, I will be short and let's say I will keep it short and sweet here. Let's say again, you want to be head of product, but you start with learning some product management skills and for 2025, for example, you decide to put a goal which says that I will need to complete 3 courses by year end, or you put that goal for 2026 and 2027. Like you decide which year and how you're going to approach it, how you're going to tackle that. So you put all those metrics and you are sure that in the end of the year, you need to, double check and make sure that you took those 3 courses. But again, it goes back to real viable product idea that you need to make sure what kind of courses you are taking. You're putting that vision, but what kind of small actions that you're executing today will bring you to that vision. So, for example, you can see here it says attending 2 networking events per quarter, but you're not going to attend something random, right? You need to make sure what kind of networking events you're going to attend, what you're going to do in those networking events. You don't just go there and do nothing. Like, there's no purpose of doing that. That's why you need to note down everything, each your step, like why you're doing that. Always ask yourself why I'm doing that. What is the end goal? What I want to achieve? Why I'm spending so much time on this, right? So that's why it should be measurable, again, specific, like why you're doing that, time bound. So like we do that, by the end of the year or by quarter, and relevant to your goals. So we don't do some chaotic things. You know, those things will bring to something, but not to your end goal. Um, yeah, that's on KPIs and metrics. I think also very self-explanatory. And of course, you can read more about this because I think KPIs and metrics and how to set them down, cannot be covered in one session. It depends on the goal. It depends on those measurement, like how you're gonna measure those things. Because of course, again, there are super cool tools that you can use. We can use Excel, right? I know not so many people love Excel, but sometimes, but sometimes, I mean all the time, Excel is a great tool to track stuff. So yeah, you can use Excel or even use something fancier. There are lots of things that can help you track everything that you want to see in one page. And the risk management and pivoting. Oh, I will say one thing, and you might think that really, really, you talked about all these things, and in the end of the day, you are saying that there are risks, there are things that can make you change your goal. Yes, of course. Like I'm pretty sure you are also aware of that because when we are building products, one day we can, do all those things. In the end of the day, we can realize that it's not working. We are shutting this down and we are building something new. And that's okay. That's what Instagram did. They had just check-in app before, but now it's photo sharing platform. I don't think it's even a photo sharing platform anymore. It's like everything sharing platform, which is cool. Instagram pivoted, and our lives can also be pivoted, and they should, like, our lives should be pivoted actually, because you do all these things, but for the sake of what? In order to test and see whether those things work. You're not doing those things in a chaotic way, and you are, accepting many, many risks, and you are, identifying those risks. You're making sure that you are actually meeting, like, kind of, seeing those risks and mitigating those risks, managing those risks. Those things are really, really important. And in the end of the day, you always need to have that one part, which basically lets you shut down everything and start from the scratch. And never be afraid of that, because when you uh, want to build something, you always need to think of the things that might not work on the way, which is totally fine. It's really great that you identify it in the very beginning, but it's totally fine if you identify it in the end. The key thing is to identify them. The key thing is never to lie to yourself and do things that you don't want to do. And how we identify those things? By doing more, by executing more, by, checking, analyzing, putting down on small actions and seeing what works, what doesn't, and making sure that we are okay to pivot. It's okay to change. It's okay to take another route. It's okay to realize something doesn't work, something um, you know, broke up, and we go another direction. And nobody's gonna actually judge you for that. Actually, it's actually really encouraging. I mean, I love seeing people, they do one thing for a lifetime, and one day they realize this is not what they wanted to do, or it didn't work. It's fine. It's okay. You tried. It was, an experience. You learned lots of things. Now time to move on. And end of this presentation and additional resources for learning. I love books. I adore books. You can also see on my Instagram page. I will share my contact details at the end of the presentation. I really encourage you to read Great Mental Models by Shane Parrish. Those books, they are amazing. I have no words to describe those books, really. I love how Shane puts down all these ideas from the science. He actually brings basically, everything from physics, mathematics, biology, chemistry all together, showing how those things can be applied also into real life. Can you imagine? Like those things can be like whatever happens in science can be applied in real life, which is of course makes sense. But sometimes we don't, realize those small things. We think that yeah, physics, of course, and chemistry and biology is affecting our lives, but how those things can be applied in like our, let's say, um, life planning or just putting down the things that we want to achieve, like how we can actually go and make sure that, we are actually applying those things in our lives. So you can just read this book and understand how it works. I'm not going to share that much, so I want to keep it a bit mysterious. So you can go and check each book. I really encourage you to do so. Then we have The Startup of You by Reid Hoffman and Ben Kasikas. So this is really, really great book. The Startup of You is basically everything that I said in this presentation, even better. So saying that, what this whole life is all about and how you can approach your life as a startup, as a product. So feel free to read the book, and I'm pretty sure it's really useful. And I advised like to all my friends to read this book, and everyone was amazed by that. Like everyone takes something from that book, let's say. And Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less by Greg McOwen. So it's really also a great guide to prioritize and also to focus. So of course, we know that we need to do all those things, but how are we going to prioritize? How are we going to focus? There are lots of things that are actually taking our time, right? Scrolling on Instagram, TikTok. So we need to make sure that, we put those things into our Eisenhower matrix, that we delete, we eliminate those things because they are not that useful. But sometimes you can, of course, do that. I mean, just for fun, because we need to have fun as well. Our lives shouldn't be just, just a planned life. So sometimes it's okay to go another road, but then come back to your original plan. And articles and blogs, of course, our business reviews. I love everything about on agile methodologies, basically how products are being built in an agile way. And agile, that's how we should be in today's world. And Cal Newport blog, my favorite blog, that the one that I just referenced before. Yeah, he's computer scientist, best-selling author, and he shares very, very cool stuff. Just go and read. And videos and some talks. Of course, Simon Sinek's on TED Talk. Start with why, and you will understand the importance of vision setting, also for your life. And of course, if you're also building some products, feel free to watch. It's also important to know. And Ali Abdal's YouTube channel for productivity and career growth strategies. So yes, I hope these additional resources for learning will be useful. And thank you for listening, for coming, for watching. Feel free to reach out, to get in touch with me. So I shared my LinkedIn account, Instagram, and my Gmail. So yeah, feel free to get in touch with me. And I'm really happy to share more insights to help you more and give you feedback. But you can also give me feedback. I'm open to always to all kind of feedbacks. Thank you so much for your time and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you. Bye bye.